This episode is for Friday, April 24th, 2015. Welcome, Meteor fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my co-host,
Rye Walker.
Welcome, Rye.
What's up?
It's just,
How are you doing?
Just the two of us this week. I'm doing good. A little hungover, maybe. Just coach. A lot of beer. Was drunk last night.
Officially, that's like officially drunk, right? Not just buzzed, drunk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if I should say this on air, but I think I actually hit my toe and broke it. So
Nice.
pretty drunk.
That bad.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to get Dove to join us for this episode, but he said no. Dove, the media developer, won't be showing up on the podcast. He doesn't think he'll be good, so I'll keep working on him.
We'll give you an A for effort.
Yeah.
All right. So this week we're going to talk about scaling Mixmax, a developer's experience, MySQL server, and conferences. All right. So first up, I love this article. I couldn't even find a date on it. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like blog dates on blog posts?
I can't stand it. I always go down and try to look at comments and see if
there's a date on the comment or something.
Yeah, it bothers me. I mean, I understand why people do it, and then I'll view source, and see if there's something in the sometimes the blogging engine will have a date in the meta information.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never really gone that far with it.
Yeah, I have.
So I don't know when this was posted, but I was actually talking back and forth with Brad Vogel over email about coming on and doing like a Meteor Club Q&A because I think people love asking questions about scaling and hearing these stories. And so he sent me a link to this blog post and said oh, here, you should read this too. It'll probably be of interest. And I was like, how have I not read this yet? And so I put it up on Crater. But this story is awesome because they talk about how they were having scaling issues. They were using Oplog, and I mean, obviously, they were the team that helped push MDG to have that Oplog back pressure environment variable put in because they were dealing with issues around it. But ultimately, they moved the contact stuff to be a microservice, and so the contact importer stuff has its own Mongo database. Excuse me. And when it kicks off and starts importing the contacts, that's all happening elsewhere outside of the context of their main kind of Gmail plugin application. And, that's kind of how they easily solved their concerns there. And I don't know, just reading the article is really, really smart kind of use of breaking a piece off. And I mean, I've got to imagine you guys have a similar architecture to this with user cycle, right?
Yeah. And even more similar to this was Assistant IO, which I literally had the exact same problem, syncing objects from Google, contacts and meetings, but contacts was actually our pain point. And yeah, it's not just enough for the Oplog back pressure thing to solve the problem. We would have been heading in the same direction as where Mixmax went with this, literally moving it to a separate database so the Oplog for those heavy activity tables are not mixed in to the app. You don't need them to be, right? So I don't know. I guess maybe there's another way to solve this. What if Meteor said I don't know if it's even possible, maybe because of the way it works. But it'd be great if you could say don't observe this table, but
I think that's a Mongo thing, right? Right now they're acting like a Mongo replica server, and therefore they're just getting everything. And so it would be nice if you could just tell Mongo these are the only data sets I care about. I've got to imagine maybe something in their sharding might allow that to happen, but I really honestly haven't played with it. But it's hijacking replication, so it'd be kind of weird to tell Mongo don't replicate this one table. That really breaks the idea of what Mongo does. So I think that this is the way to go, though. Just move it out. It's really not that hard to move something out. It's not really that hard to access something through an API. Did they say how they access the contacts afterwards? They did not, and that was the number one source of kind of comments on Crater as well. And I plan to ask him. So he's going to be on May 7th, we're gonna do a Meteor Club Q&A, and so that'll probably be the first question I ask him is like, you left out how you're getting back at those contacts now, because like, is he just making a DDP connection and like hoping that that server will handle everything better? I don't know.
I'm guessing he's just going REST at that because I think he said like the separate database. Maybe he didn't even say it. It'd say like whether he's using Node to operate that other process. I don't know. Yeah. Well, yeah. So you asked me about.
No, they're using Q. Actually, is what he said.
Well, Q manages the work, but then you still have what server is.
Well, Q's node based, so I would imagine they're either using a Meteor server or like Q hooked into Meteor, or just straight up node and Q.
Yep. We are literally in the final stages of splitting user cycle into 2 pieces as well. The back end is straight node using Q. We're utilizing Redis heavily as Q requires that, but we're even putting some of our custom logic right into Redis via Lua scripts, and but we are still pushing our data at the end of the day back into our current Mongo database, but we might switch that too because there's actually a call now. People want an API into user cycles, so we're like, okay, where do we build the API? We could build it into the Meteor app, or we could just let it operate separately.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I didn't put it on here because it hasn't hit Crater yet, but Sashko is actually working on, I don't know if you saw this, the REST API kind of package that you'll be able to drop in, which he wants to take it deeper. He wants to like hook it directly into pub sub and methods because to me, they're totally analogous to a REST API. And I said this a long time ago, and Sam and I started working on Rester, but then we just kind of didn't have enough time to work on it. But it's an idea.
It's kind of like RPC, like remote procedure calls. If you just like hooked in straight into those methods, so like to me, REST has a certain URL structure, but I know I saw his like the hack pad for that, and you basically give each Meteor method a URL, and as long as you design those in a RESTful way, it would be REST, right?
Yeah. So REST is, I don't know. Like I've been thinking a lot about this week. Been thinking about writing like a REST versus DDP type of article actually, because I feel like REST was created because, we had HTTP 1.0 specification and, we've got URLs and like, this is the technology we had at the time. And like these URLs are structured in a certain way, but to me, DDP maybe makes a little more sense because you've got the pub sub side of things, right? And that's for getting data out. And then you've got the method side, and that's really for getting data in. And I actually like maybe that those are separated in that way. And then, like if you go look at Twitter's docs, you've got all these different kinds of calls, and you got to go into it and see whether it's a post or a put or a delete or whatever HTTP keyword verb it is. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to do a user cycle API, and we're thinking when we present it, we'll present it as both REST and DDP, which will be sort of unique. I mean, obviously the only one who could consume that is, for now, would be Meteor apps, but it'll just help expose DDP too.
That's not entirely true. I mean, you could use Asteroid to consume it.
Yeah, actually in iOS as well,
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of places you can consume the DDP now.
Yep, that's true. So
Erlang, you can consume it, and Elixir. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we saw that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's it really. I mean, someone might interpret this as, oh, Meteor can't scale, right? But the reality is, it's any system that grows needs to be broken down on microservices. You see it happening with Kadira. You see it happening with Mixmax, and a monolithic platform is never going to be the answer forever.
Did you watch DHH's keynote talk this week?
No, but I heard someone mention that they felt like it looks like he's moving towards Meteor type thinking. What did he say in that?
They've got a new thing called Action Cable, which is like, it's not DDP, but it is WebSockets. So, of course, like we've got to always have this not invented here syndrome when it comes to Rails. But they're coming out with TurboLinks 3 and Action Cable, and they're trying to encourage people to move more towards, like, I guess, client side heavier options that they would have. But I just, honestly, like, the world's moved on. They've already decided on Ember or Angular or, something other than that for Rails. And it just feels like, again, it's going to be a bolt-on to me. But I don't. He was talking a lot about, like, monolithic versus microservices, and I feel like, I don't know, that I haven't watched the whole thing, but I definitely got the feel that he's more in favor of monolithic, and that Shopify, like he was talking about them as well, like they're more in favor of monolithic as well, and that's why they abandoned Batman JS. I don't know.
Well, monolithic is great until it doesn't work for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I like, with Meteor, like you can be monolithic, and then all of a sudden we're all realizing, oh, holy crap, this is very easy for us to just kind of break these pieces apart and make microservices.
I mean, there's always a trade-off. So, like, the trade-off with Meteor is you get an awesome monolithic thing, but the trade-off is if you happen to be doing some stuff on back-end services that's like churning your database hard, you have to deal with that. Like that's the trade-off. You're not allowed to do that because it kind of hacks Mongo, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Well, it doesn't hack Mongo, right? Like, but if you want it to be real time and reactive, that's where you run into trouble.
Yeah,
that's
where it hacks Mongo in the sense that Meteor tries to pretend to be a replica set for the Mongo shard, and it's not really that. So anyway.
All right, let's move on to the next story. I just realized
that was a good one. We dove deep in that one.
Yeah, we did. I spelled experience wrong in our show notes. Whoops.
I saw that. I was able to translate that though.
All right.
Yeah, so this is a nice post on Medium by Miroslav Hibler. I don't know how to say your last name.
I left that one for you on purpose.
Why do we try? But basically, he's a server-side developer, and basically, it started out. It was kind of, I think it was a great article, and I was reading it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be negative, right? First part of it, he just describes, let's see, what's this, the daunting subjects, that you have to learn. If you're a server-side guy coming into client-side, you got to learn about HTML and all the JavaScript stuff. And
yeah, he's got like 6 points in here, right?
Yep. And I was like, oh man, he's going to be like saying this is bull crap, right? And then building mobile, the UI, all this stuff. But then he kind of says, like, Meteor answers these things in very elegant ways for me. So he went right back through the same 6 points, and then finally ends up the article with some of the issues he ran into. So I actually thought it was a super balanced article. Great article if you're coming from server side into Meteor. Check the show notes on this, and Meteor JS, a server-side developer's experience, is the name of the post.
Yeah, I only got about halfway through. I was making the show notes and just kind of got sucked into reading it, but I like this. This is like a nice long article. Yeah, like he talks a little bit about Iron Router and like jQuery and how that stuff works. As kind of gotchas, but yeah, I don't know. This is good. I'm wondering though, like he's got these ads all over this thing.
Yeah, I know. I was just looking at it too. I was like, are these related? But no,
they're all like Angular.
Yeah, I wonder if they're automatic too. So yeah, that is the one weird part is somehow it thinks this article is about Angular and it's a bunch of Angular ads throughout it. But ignore that.
Yeah, but definitely I think worth a read. And I don't know, like I'm on the edge of writing like a jQuery and Meteor post myself. And it's funny to see it brought up here again. Yeah, he talks about how they have to be carefully thought through. And I don't know. Like maybe I've just used jQuery long enough that I know what handlers are there, like what events I can connect on and that kind of thing. Like I don't.
If you're truly new to it, though, I mean, it's pretty daunting when you add all those concepts on top of each other.
Yeah. So this came up again the other day too on Reddit. It was funny. They actually took my newsletter. Like when you sign up for my training class, I send you a series of emails, and one of them is talking about like why you need to learn jQuery event handlers, and it gives you a link to like all the different kinds of events you can connect off of. And he's like, well, I don't know if I should use Meteor because I hear jQuery is bloated.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure maybe you shouldn't use Meteor because you're worried about bloat. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying Meteor is bloated, but I mean,
or jQuery, yeah.
yeah.
jQuery is, there are smaller JavaScript libraries than jQuery, but
we're basically gluing a crap ton of JavaScript together to get a website going.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe not the truest definition of bloat, but there's definitely the possibility there. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So the next story, I thought this was interesting, right? MySQL support. So what was it? Ben Green, Numtel. Pretty sure he lives out there in San Francisco, maybe, or maybe LA. I don't know. I've seen pictures of him at WorkPop too, I think. But he's the one that got the reactive MySQL working. I think were you actually on site for that dev shop?
I think so. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was really cool to watch. And like, he's continued to work on this. And I don't know, the one thing you don't think about is when you get away from Mongo, one of the niceties you have is when you type, Meteor run, your Mongo server starts for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's got a package here that you install, and it's actually hooking in and firing up MySQL for you when you start your server. And, it works exactly like Mongo from the looks of it. I mean, it just literally says started MySQL, and you can give it, there's a JSON file that you can use. I actually think maybe this goes deeper than Mongo. Can you specify like a Mongo JSON file for starting Mongo?
No,
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
So
I haven't needed that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say kudos to Ben. Like this is amazing. Can we just like put a big green check mark next to MySQL support now?
Yeah, it's not react. I mean, his MySQL stuff wasn't like reactive though. It was like read or something. I thought it was
reactive.
I started his repo. Did you start his repo? Did you at least do that?
I did now.
All right, good. Got 2 stars right there.
Yeah, no, it's reactive MySQL for Meteor, the main part, and he's got a MySQL Live Select npm module that he's using to kind of make everything work. Yeah,
I thought there was something missing, but maybe there was something missing then that's been put in now. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's the march goes on towards more database support beyond Mongo.
Yeah. So, like, I'm glad that MDG hired Justin and put out that fluff piece about how they're going to use that technology or whatever. And I don't know. They just hired him to work on Galaxy. Let's hire Ben Green, right? I don't know why this still isn't happening.
maybe he doesn't want to join. I don't know.
Maybe. But like anyone to me that's going to sit down and write a live query implementation on top of MySQL, and now like his work has inspired someone to work on Postgres. Actually, he did it.
He's inspiring himself.
Yeah. Come on. Let's fund this guy. Let's get the code reviewed by MDG, make it official, and be done.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. All right, let's jump over to conferences. Do you think there has not been a Meteor conference yet?
So it's funny. Right? Like I was starting to work on one, and I talked to Matt over at MDG, and I said, hey, like, I really want to do this. And they're like, well, we really want to do it too, like next year. And I'm like, well, that's too long. We need something. And so we were going back and forth, and we just decided to put it on pause. Like they're working on getting some marketing people in, and I think things will maybe ramp up after that. So hopefully soon. But then like this post came out of nowhere. Like I really wasn't expecting this. Someone posted on Crater like, hey, I really want to go to a Meteor conference in 2015. It was like, oh, huh.
The username is alternate Josh. No, wait.
No. No, I would never out myself that way, right? Like I have a website up if I'm going to do it.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. John Omo?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, there's definitely a market for it now. But if Meteor wants to do it, they have a lot of other like fish to fry. Like they want to get Galaxy done, I'm sure, before they do that. Like there's just priority wise is not at the top of their list. Like everything. I mean, it's been that way all this time with Meteor. Like there's 10 things we wish they could get done right now, but they can't, so
it's a people problem, right? Like they need more people working on stuff, but then you have communication problems that go with that. So,
right. Yep. So yeah, I mean, there are like a lot of the JavaScript conferences, there will be a Meteor talk there, but
I mean, I tried to get one into JS Conf and it got rejected, and I'm guessing a lot of the other people got rejected as well. But I'm giving one at OzCon. Is that the one? That's the one O'Reilly puts on in Portland.
Yep.
In July. I think I'm going to do my longer tutorial where I build a mobile mapping application.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Like Robert sent something out today to the mailing list. Like, hey, if you're going to give a talk, like here's some stuff you can work off of. And, here's some of the conferences people are speaking at. So.
Yeah. So I think they're, I mean, again, it's convenient because it fits into their resource constraints, but I think they'd rather wait for there to be like huge, like bubbling over demand for the conference before pulling the trigger on it. So it's probably 2016.
I don't know. I feel like it's there today. I did a quick poll and just looking at Crater numbers, right? I think it's there today. I think you could do one in San Francisco and sell it out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would fly in for it, and
I'd go. Yeah, I mean, I think no one wants to miss the first Meteor conference if you were serious about Meteor, right?
Yeah, totally agree. Agree. Yeah, so I don't know, but instead, what I've done is I'm starting to put together. Well, I had tentatively dubbed it Meteor Camp, but then I got an email today. Someone actually picked up Meteor.camp, and they're building. So now it's going to be Meteor Club Camp. I don't know.
Nice.
We'll see how that flies. But I'm tentatively thinking maybe in September we'll do something in Indianapolis. That's like it's about a 2-hour drive from here. They've got a nice airport people could fly into. I found a place that's got like 100 acres. I think it could be a lot of fun. So I'm going to see if I can get that thing.
Yeah.
And Matt likes the idea too. So we're going to see if maybe we can get some Meteor support, get some t-shirts and stickers there, that kind of thing.
Cool. All right. Well, that's the last topic. So I think we're done for today.
Yep. All right. So I'm just going to say, like, number one, I'm blown away by the patrons. We hit $500 this week. That was kind of crazy. I did not expect that to happen so fast. And actually, Modulus signed on for a year of sponsorship, so they'll be around till December. But I'm not gonna. The $500 reward was no ads, so I'm not gonna put any ads on any of my other content, and we're just gonna. I'm not going to seek any new ads as well, which I was actually going to do a couple weeks ago. But, now that I've got the support from all you guys, that's pretty amazing. And I just want to say thank you. It's been awesome. And the Slack chat room's been awesome as well. So, be sure to check out Modulus because they are an awesome sponsor, modulus.io. And if you're looking to get in the Slack chat room, it's just Patreon, patreon.com/Meteor Club.
Cool.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
Yep. This video has been a Meteor Club production. You can find out more information about Meteor Club and join the mailing list by clicking on the Meteor Club button below. If you enjoyed this video, you can also hit the subscribe button below and get more content like this. Thanks for watching.